So today, basically, we are going to be talking about supply and demand. We're going to be talking about supply and demand in the simple way and in the advanced way. And we are also going to talk about it in a way whereby you can make use of it on the live chat. Okay. Like I said, we are going to be talking about it in the simple way first. Then the second chapter of this today's session, we are going to be talking about it in an advanced way. Okay, because okay, let me share my screen. Because there's something I want you guys to understand, yeah? Most people come online, cap nonsense, or because they want to feel superior or whatsoever, just cap rubbish and lie in the name of, oh, I don't trade this, I don't trade that, this is what I trade, this is what I trade. See, the reality of Forex is, let me share my screen for you guys. The reality of Forex is that if you anticipate something and you have a checklist for that thing, that, okay, oh, this is my anticipation, oh, but if this oh, sorry guys, if this thing happened as at this point in time, at this particular zone, I'm going to be taking the trade. It's going to give you much more confidence in the trade compared to when it's just happening in a random place. What do I mean by that? Let me break that down for you guys. Because you see a lot of people be like, oh, I don't trade supply and demand. I don't trade this, I don't trade that. Yeah, you can trade, everybody have their edge, right? But knowing why it's like, is it too hard for you guys to mute yourself? Because I muted everybody now, so people are still unmuting themselves. I would block you from this session if you unmute yourself. It's not actually funny now. Other people they are here, you are busy doing nonsense. Other people that mute themselves, are they stupid? Anybody that just unmutes himself and I'm hearing some kind of unpleasant noise behind to distract us, I will remove the person from the session. It's time for everything now. And at the end of the day, you guys that will still come and be like, camera this, camera that. Whereas you are the one distracting the class. Okay. So, because all these things now, if you distract me, I will have to start to remember where I started, where I stopped. So please, guys, please. So, let's get back to what I'm saying. So, like I said, now I even forget what I was supposed to say now. So, like I was saying, yeah, everybody can come online, say whatever they feel like, which is supply and demand does not work. Okay, they only trade liquidity, they only trade inducement, everything works, right? But there's something I used to tell people, even if you don't focus on, even though you trade liquidity, if you don't understand order flow and money transfer, it's going to be hard for you to have a system. What does that mean? There's something, when I was explaining the first slide, I told you there is fact in the market and there's confluence. Under the fact, that's where we have structure. And under structure is where we have what? Supply and demand. Some people can give it any name, but this is the organic name for it, right? So under confluence, you cannot be having external liquidity, blah, 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 which we are not even there now. So now, what is supply and demand? For, let's actually relate to this in terms of market, right? We know supply, it means a point where you sell something, right? And a demand is a place where you buy something. So how are we going to interpret this to the market? So the question now is, if we are calling a place a supply area, And if we are calling a place a demand area, it means supply area is that area that we are anticipating to sell. While demand is the area we are anticipating to buy. So, and the place we are looking to buy from or the place we are looking to sell from is as a result of a price action that we get from the price. Is as a result of a particular point that we got from a random price. When I say random price, I can just draw anything randomly now and tell you to look for supply and demand there, right? So the question now is, in Forex itself, there's always an enemy for all of us. We have a common enemy. Apart from the fact that everybody is chasing money, I want you guys to listen to the logic, right? Apart from the fact that everybody is chasing money, our real common enemy are the people that have bigger money than us. There's a rule that said nobody is controlling the market, but it is a lie. There are some people that control this market. Not that they are the one that print higher highs and higher lows. But their own is they seek for when a majority is selling, then they buy to it to grab liquidity. Or they look for a point whereby the majority is buying, then they sell to it to take out liquidity. Those particular people, let's call them the institution. You can give them any name you feel like. Or let's call them the big banks because they are the one with the big money. So let's be using the big banks now. Big banks. Now, using that time, I'm trying to like break it down to the simplest form. So now, if we call a place a particular supply area, where are we going to see this supply? If we call a point a demand, where are we going to see this demand? This would be as a result of what the big boys are doing. Why are these big boys important? These big boys, they are important. Our own, we make money by placing a trade and we expect price to go the place that we place the trade. If we place, this is how we will make money. If you press a sell, you expect price to keep selling. That is how we, the retail traders, this is how we make money. You press a sell, you expect price to sell. If you press a sell and it buy, you've lost money. But all these big banks, they don't press a sell and expect price to sell. Because let me show you what will happen if all these big boys are doing exactly what we are doing. If a market is selling, I want you guys to reason with it with me, if I'm not making sense. If the market is selling now, all of us in this room, let's say we are the ones that are, we are the only people that are trading Forex. And only one person, let's say all of us all together, we have the sum of 5 billion. All of us together here. But one person here has what? Has, let's say, 4 billion. 4 billion. One person. Which means 99% of people in this group, if you add all their money together, it is 5 billion. 99%. But one person among all of them has single-handedly 1 billion. Which means if this market is selling now, and this person is the person that we're going to call the big boys, the big bank, right? So if this market is selling as a result of what these people are doing here, they are using their 5 billion naira to do whatever they are doing here, which means majority of this 5 billion, for market to be trending like this, so 80% is selling, while 20% is buying. That's why we're having this impulse and retracement. So if these big boys are trading the same way that we are trading, if they decide to sell, what do you think the price will do? All of a sudden, you will see price do something like this. Boom. Aggressively to the downside. Right? So, which is because cumulatively, this is the power that a whole 99% of a particular team can do. But because this person has a movement of 4 billion, this person will join hand with the 80% that are already selling this move to move the market aggressively to the downside, which means everybody that are selling this trade have made money. That is why if everybody is selling a particular move and there's a news release and the news release favor the sell, you will see a very aggressive move to the downside. which is going to let everybody here make money. So why am I making this illustration? So we show you that these people, and their purpose is they don't want us to make money because they feed on our stop loss. So why would they try to go in the same direction that the majority are going? So which is why if the market is selling like this, their own purpose is to what? Take the market to the opposite direction to take money, then continue in the desired direction, which is what we call the stop hunt. Right? So that stop hunt has actually told us that there is a manipulation, because for a market to be trending to the downside and it's bought, all of a sudden, then immediately sold off. That means there's a manipulation and they created a supply immediately to continue the trend. So which means this guy right here is a supply zone. This big buy to this sell is a supply zone because they took out every bias in this move and they decide to go to their desired direction, which indicates that this buy is just a hunt. They still want to sell. So the purpose of this action is going to interpret to us as a retail trader that this guy is a supply area. So which is why this point is a manipulation point. But the manipulation happens, then it still continues to the seller side. Let me break it down again. This is the selling, then all of a sudden, boom, boom. Manipulation, then it continues to the desired direction. This simply means the market has created a support, a supply. And this supply is created by the big boys. So which means this point is what we call the point of interest to sell from. But this is just the simple part of it. This is the common things that people say about it. But I want you guys to pay attention to one word that I keep saying: manipulation. Manipulation. Because for market to buy all of a sudden from here and decide to ignore everybody around here and still sell off, that means there's a manipulation. That manipulation is now what? The creation of the supply. Because why are we going to call this a manipulation? It's because market is selling. If the market keep buying like this, will you call this move a manipulation? No, because it only bought and it continued to buy. But you can only call it a manipulation when it sell off, then it took all of them out and it continued to sell again. Because why would it come as fast, taking all these eyes out and still continue to sell? That simply means this guy manipulated. But if the market is selling like this, and all of a sudden you have this and it keep going, you can't call this a manipulation because it changed character and it continued to buy. So which means there's nothing here. Market just keep following order flow. So this manipulation is what I want you guys to pay attention to, because that is what is going to take us to the regular supply and demand, which people call the flip zone. Supply, demand, flip zone. That word manipulation I want you guys to focus on. So let's say manipulation can come in a lot of form, but manipulation happens when an unexpected thing, when there's a violation of a particular order flow. That is a manipulation. Me, I call it a violation. Now, this guy right here, it manipulates, right? I use two words: manipulation and violation. Manipulation and what? Violation. So now, what is manipulation is this one right here. So what is the violation part of it? Is when, let's say, it actually kind of intertwined together. They're actually together, but I just use different words for it. So what does that mean? Is when the market is selling now, and we expect the market to sell from here, then all of a sudden you have this. Then the market does this. What has happened here? You can say market has manipulated this supply because based on order flow, it is supposed to sell. But it reacted a little bit and it continued to the upside direction. So which results in a violation of this order flow, because this is a high to a low, a high to a low, a high to a low. Market is supposed to create a new low, but it reacted a little bit and take it out. This results in a what? In a violation, which some people call a flip zone. So before I will really now break this down, let me remember that I want to break it down in a simple way. So the simple time of it is all these things, they are actually being distinguished into three forms. We have the the rally base and the rally. This is the simple form. We are going to rally base and the rally base and drop, rally base and drop. This is the two types. Then we have the drop, which is the opposite of this, drop base drop, and what? Drop base rally. This is the form of manipulation that you can get. And these are what creates supply and demand. Now, let me now use this thing, because this base is always our supply or demand area. This base, supply or demand, supply or demand, supply or demand. So now let me use this this thing to now explain flip zone now. So now let's say we are having a supply, a market selling to the downside now. Then we believe higher highs, higher low, higher highs, higher low, higher high. The market did this. This is what? A rally base and a rally. So which means this violation, or you can call it flip zone, but I use the word violation, is your what? Is your demand. And the reason why it's a demand is because the market changed character to the upside. But remember, it has to take two structure. It must not be like this. High, low, high, low, high, low, high. High, low, high, low. The market does this, then boom. You can't call this a violation block just because it took out one eye. No, it has to take out two before you can, because all of a sudden you can just have this, then boom, market will continue. So it must take out two structures. So this is your rally base and the rally. And the opposite is what? The drop base drop. When you have high, low, high, low, high, low, then markets come here, then rally, then break two structures. So you have your drop base and your drop. Structure one, structure two. So this is your supply. So this is the demand, this is your supply. This is as a form of a flip zone, or what? A violation zone, right? So now let's now talk about the rally, the rally base drop. Rally base drop. I'm still going to explain some things to you. Rally base drop. Now, let's say the market is selling now. This is what you would see online. They will tell you when the market is selling like this, and you have this. I'm coming. No. Okay, I'm coming. Let me use this. High, low, high, low, high, low, high. Then you have this rally base drop. So this is rally base drop. So this is a rally. This is a base, and this is your drop. So this is the regular thing that you will see online, right? But this does not really make sense, because a valid rally base drop must take out an inducement. If you just have something like this is so regular. This is what you'll be seeing online. But in my own way, this is how I trade it. My base has to be responsible for what? A violation or a manipulation. So which means high, low, high, low, high. Now makes this guy a liquidity. So now we now have market come. Then we have the rally. Then you can have your base. No, sorry. You can have your, I'm coming, rally base drop. So now, why is this one different from this? You guys already know, because this guy is an inducement because he broke one structure right here. So all of a sudden, we have a push. Now, let me break it down. Inside, there's a very strong relationship between rally-based rally. So you have to be careful about it. And I will explain everything. Now, look at this. Let me remove this guy and draw this thing out separately. This is what we'll have. I, low, low, then this. So now, based on rally-based rally, if the market take care of this guy that broke structure, this is a rally-based rally. But if this is a rally-based rally, we believe that this guy is supposed to buy this market because it is a demand area. But just for a particular reason, maybe this guy is a higher time frame point of interest or higher time frame supply, the market come rally, base, and rally. But you are looking to sell. So for you to look for sell, what are you now expecting? You are expecting a drop, which means this market would invalidate this base to the buy side, then it will come back to reclaim it to the sell side. Let me come again. You have high, low, high, low, high, low, high. Break one structure, rally, base, rally. Like I explained, a rally-based rally makes this guy a demand market is supposed to buy. But just because of order flow, let's say there is a particular higher time frame demand here. So market will now come, then you have a rally. Market would invalidate this base. Then it's going to drop. So rally, this same base that was in for a rally base and a rally that invalidated this guy will now be used as your what? A rally base and your drop. Then you will be using this base to sell. Huh? Guys, am I making sense? So, let me now show you another thing. So, just small price action can change the whole narrative of a price. Let me now show you something. We have high, low, high, low, high, low, high. Market now created an inducement. Then it does this. Let's say this is now the higher time frame supply. It does this. Then it does this. Then it does this. Then it does this. Now, look at this now. Look at this now. This is a rally base and a drop. Two, right? A rally base and a drop. But remember, notice what happened here. This guy here. It happened afterwards. This break of structure. But this one happened inside, which make it a valid rally-based rally. Then they flipped it, which give you a valid flip zone. So that is why it is a valid base. But this one, it happened after this break of structure. So happening after this break of structure, you have to be careful about it because this point is very, very weak because it is not as a result of what? Of a violation block that should have happened inside this zone. So for this particular storyline, there would be a particular hidden base here, which if you had set your limit here, market is likely not to come there. Why? Because there's a hidden base here that took out this guy. It is not this one. So which means market will now use this thing to originate order flow, which means market will come to this one first, create a low. Now a new cycle have started. A, B, C. Then they can now come to claim this one, then sell off. So if that does not happen, I am not going to trade this one blindly like this. I am not going to trade this one. Why? Because this guy does not happen inside. So it is not a valid flip. The reason why we call it a rally-based drop, the base has to manipulate. The base has to violate. But this base did nothing. But this one did something because it violated this structure. But this one did nothing because it broke structure before pulling back. So it is not a violation candle. Do you guys understand that? So this guy, I am not going to trade this guy. Not until I get my ABC as a result of this hidden base that literally violated this one, true. Then that is when I will sell this one. See, it looks the same, but it is not. It is still a rally base and a drop, but this one is invalid. Why? Because the base did not violate a structure. The base is not responsible for what? A manipulation. So when it comes to everything that a lot of mentors do, it's price action. They just try to make it seem like they can even, like this thing that I explained, they can tell you it is called MDSC. Medium, Quasimodo, Kinikon. They will just give it something that is price action, but you have to be smart about it. I'm sure with the way I'm explaining, it would actually make sense to you. Because why would we say we want to buy from a flip zone, a rally-based rally, then but you are in a supply zone? So you have to wait for this base to get flipped back. Then you continue. So if this guy is not responsible for a violation, then it's not a real flip. Yes, it is not about the base. It is where the base is located. I love that. Rally-based rally is everywhere. But the base has to do something. And what it needs to do, it needs to violate. So that is where we are going to know it's responsible for the big boys. Because it is only the big boys that can manipulate a structure. If everybody is selling like this, it is only the big boy that can decide to say, okay,